Sorry. Too loud? No, just right. So, I was at Brownell this week. It was our last week together, and so I told them that I would be leaving. This would be my last year there, and so that was Tuesday. And then Wednesday night we did the 8th grade graduation, and so I went to do graduation, and there waiting for me was a box full of little cards that the lower school kids had made. And has anybody here ever been a teacher? So you know what happens. The kids write you these things and they just melt your heart and you just want to die because they're so cute. So I wanted to share this one with you because it really pertains to the topic today. It says, we're going to miss you, Father Selby. Thank you for your service. And then Aaron Shelby writes, Father Selby, you are very funny. Thank you. But he says, I promise that I will be careful which God I pick. Now, I want to know, will you make me the same promise? Will you be careful which God that you pick? That's what I want to talk about today. Last week we talked about polytheism and monotheism, and we talked about how the nation of Israel had been formed, and they had gone through this transformation from many gods to one God. Right? And I gave this long and I have to say brilliant sermon on the Trinity. I mean, seriously, it was the most brilliant thing that anybody has ever had to say about the Trinity. I think you should all know that I expect to get a plaque from the church any day now because I finally figured it out. But anyway, so I don't want to go back to that. But I do want to continue to talk about this sense of many gods or one God or following gods. And today we step back in the Old Testament reading to the 9th century. So this is 850-ish before Christ. It's 900 years before Jesus and Paul, okay? So we're getting this story about Elijah and the prophets of Baal. You could pronounce it Baal, that's very good pronunciation. There's also Baal, I say Baal, Baal, whatever. And they were both right.
Two different answers.
Absolutely correct. But there are lots of different ways to say it. I usually just say Baal, that's just what I say. Anyway, so the point is,
Mark, you're wrong. It's starting already.
Who said that this was feedback time? Anybody here say, please, I'll take feedback from anywhere? No. At any rate, if you prefer, I'll pronounce it Baal. Okay, so here we go. So this is Israel, right, has asked God for kings. Israel said, God, we want a king. We don't tired of the judges. And God has said to them, no, you won't want a king. Don't get a king. I don't want to give you one because you won't like it. And they go, no, we really want one. Please, please, please. God says, okay, here's a king. So, and many kings after that. And so writing this great history that's found in 1st and 2nd Kings, we read it through the lens of David's monarchy. David, the greatest king of all, right? So we're looking back through David's monarchy and more or less judging the monarchies of the kings along the way. So if you're a good king, you're like David, you always follow Yahweh, right? Never Baal, never anything else, always Yahweh. But if you're a bad king, like Ahab, then you follow Baal or other. So you have let the people be deluded if you're a bad king. Good kings follow Yahweh. Okay, you with me? So here we go. So Ahab was a bad king because he was unfaithful to Yahweh. He's known for being married to Jezebel. And who got a bad rap? Right? She was not a prostitute. I don't care what anybody says. Well, she got a bad rap because she wore lipstick and fine clothes before she died. So what? Right? We should all be dressed up, right? But what she helped Ahab go astray. So she brought Baal worship to Ahab's kingdom, and Ahab didn't stick up for Yahweh, right? Now, Yahweh is the God that called Abraham, that got them out of slavery, that took them 40 years through the desert, leading them the whole way, promised them the land of Canaan, got them to Canaan, got the people out who were there, gave them the land. I mean, and he says, well, so what about Yahweh? Well, let's follow Baal, right? And it's always been that way. Paul says, how quickly you've forgotten the gospel that I gave you. So 900 years later, it's still the same. How quickly you've forgotten the gospel that I've given you. And if these were just old stories, I wouldn't even bother telling them to you. But it's still the same today, isn't it? Don't we forget about God? And the first thing you do when you leave here is forget about God. I think, maybe not you, I do. Let me just be honest, right? Right? I want to talk about that. So this great old story from 1 Kings. All right, what's happening? We've got 450 prophets of Baal. Baal. And the Israelites are following Baal, not Yahweh. 450 of them following Ahab. Ahab has said, go ahead and follow Baal. And one prophet of Yahweh. Who is it? Elijah. The best prophet of all, am I right? I mean, whenever they want to call up some old prophet from the end, they're like, hey, you got to be Elijah. Who is he? Elijah? Is Elijah here again? They love Elijah. Why wouldn't they? He's faithful. Faithful to Yahweh. One prophet in all of Israel, faithful to Yahweh, Elijah. 450 prophets of Israel. These are not Gentiles. Of Israel following Baal, false gods, right? So we have this great battle of the ancient Near East gods, right? The battle of the gods. This is such a great story. So Elijah says, now tell me about Baal. What's his big thing? What's he known for? And they're like, well, Baal is the god of lightning and thunder. So Elijah goes, well, let's see. How about this then? Let's use his thunder and lightning. If he's such a great god, let's see if he can call down lightning. I'll tell you what, let's do. Go get 2 bulls. Go get 2 bulls and prepare them for sacrifice. You guys do one, and I'll do one. 450 of you, 1 of me. You go first. And here's what we'll do. We'll take your God's big strength, lightning, and use that. You prepare your bull, get it ready, and call down the lightning and start the fire. Don't light a match to it, or they didn't have matches. Don't strike a flint, right? Don't strike a flint to it. Don't start a fire. Let Baal do it if he's so tough, right? So they say, okay, no worries. Yeah, sure, no problem. So they get the bull ready. They take their bull. They get it ready. They put it on the logs, and they start going. Around in the circle. Around 450. Right? Right? Anytime, Baal. Right? And pretty soon it's like, all day. Honest to God, they're like, come on. Right? And Elijah's over here mocking them. Oh, really? I thought you had such a hot God, right? What's about the God of thunder, lightning, right? Is he on vacation? Where is your God? Is he asleep? Maybe you should go wake him up. All day, all day, all day. Nothing. Finally, Elijah says, okay, my turn. Watch this. Got his bull, got it all ready, put the logs, dug a little pit. Just a minute, he says. Before we get going, let's put water on the fire, on the wood. Let's put water on the wood. Let's make it even harder for my God, for our God. Psh, psh, 4 big jugs of water. Okay, ready? Let's do it again. One more time. Let's put it on there. Psh, 4 more. Psh, psh. We got 8 already, right? It's soaking, right? He's ready to go. Not yet. One more time. 4 more. Now water's running all over the place. There is no way that anybody could ever get a fire to start there. Yeah? Lightning. The whole thing goes up in smoke. So much that all the water's evaporating, fire all over the place, right? And he turns to them and says, well, what do you think now? Who's God? Baal? Yahweh. And what did they say at the very end? Yeah, Yahweh. We see now that Yahweh is the God. And like I said, if that was it, if it was just an old story from 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, I wouldn't care. But it's never changed, right? Now, nobody here in this room, I guarantee you, nobody here is thumbing their nose at Yahweh going, I got another God I pay attention to. Nobody here is doing that. None of you have altars in your house to Baal, or to Ashtart, or any of those old gods. We thumb our nose at Yahweh like this. I don't have time, right? I'm too smart for God. I've been to college, and when I was at college, I studied philosophy, and I decided there just isn't a God, right? Yeah, I'm too smart for God. That's one of the ways that we thumb our nose at God. Another way is we want things instead of God, or we want people instead of God. We want what we don't have, what we can't have, right? And so we spend all of our time and all of our energy thinking about, how many of you go through catalogs? I do, right? I'm at home. Oh man, look at that. Oh, if I only had that person, if I only had that house, if I only had that car, if I only had that boat, hello, if I only had those clothes, right? If I only had. Listen, how much time do we spend on that relative to what we spend with God? Right? That's how we thumb our nose at God. Or else, we used to call it sloth. We don't call it sloth anymore. We call it leisure, right? Right? Just let me have my leisure time. I work all week long. Just leave me alone. Let me go home, put my feet up, and click on the TV, right? Yeah? Let me go out to wherever and just relax. I worked hard for this. Let me have my leisure. Here's my question. If somebody from outside came in and looked at my life or your life or our lives together and numbered up the amount of hours that we spend chasing after these things, if they looked at our checkbooks, how much money are we spending on things, on chasing, right? And then compare that to how much we're doing with Yahweh. Do the math. It'd be pitiful, wouldn't it? Seriously? Wouldn't it be pitiful? So, if Elijah were here today, I don't think he would say anything about Baal. I don't think he would say anything about other gods. I think he would say this. Look, everything is competing for your attention. Everything is competing for your love, for your loyalty, for your money, for your life. So much is competing for your life. How many ads do you think we see a day? How many? Would it be 5,000? Ads. Look, television, computer, phone, driving. Who's after your life? Hyper-consumerism is really the idol today. It really is. And I think if Elijah were here today, he would say, you go grab all those pitchmen, all those ad executives, all those people who are looking to get your life away from God, or your attention away from God, all the things that you think you must have, you can't live without, put them in one place. And I'll be over here. And go get 2 bulls.